Are you thinking about moving to Florida and you're kind of on the fence because you hear all these people out there talking about a market crash here in Florida? Well, I recently actually bought a house and I want to make sure that Bruiser and I don't end up in this market crash. I went and actually did some research to make sure that I didn't have confirmation bias. And literally Bruiser and I hit a eureka moment where we saw. My name is Alex Haigh and I'm a real estate agent here in South Florida. And I work with a trusted group of professionals that know this area through and through. We get people reaching out to us all the time with comments and questions. So if that's you and you're interested in moving to South Florida, subscribe below. That way, every Friday when the content comes out, you're gonna be alerted. Now, recently, we've been getting a lot of calls from people, and these people are concerned. They are hearing about this market crash. They're watching the news, and actually a lot of these people on YouTube that seem to be getting a lot of views are talking about this market crash. Now, is that just if it bleeds, it leads type thing? Is this kind of fear-mongering and it's clickbait kind of stuff? Well, I recently bought a house myself, and I wanted to make sure, did I just have confirmation bias around this? Did I buy because I'm just offering to everybody that they should buy? So I went back and reevaluated, why did I make this decision? Did I make a good decision? So as I dove into this data about why people are moving to Florida, why they have been moving to Florida, and why I continue to think that they will move to Florida, also, what are the values doing? Is there actually a drop in values? And the more that I looked at this data, the more that I believe I made a good decision to actually buy recently. So there's two things that I wanted to look at. Why? And what is. So why are people moving to Florida, or why are these companies coming here? What is this giant influx? Where is that coming from? Now, what I found is there are already established industries, and I've done other videos on that, on the agriculture and the beef. And actually what I found out as well is that Florida is the second largest miner in the United States, and they mine phosphorus. What does phosphorus go into? It goes into agriculture. So those are very established industries. So then what I also found as I dug deeper is that these new emerging industries that are attracting people to Florida, and also these companies and corporations like Tesla and Amazon. The first big statistic that I found is that we have over 660,000 people that actually moved to Florida. Now that actually is 200,000 more than Texas, which is number 2. Now, also the net outflows of people moving out of states was actually out of New York, almost 660,000 people. Maybe all those people are coming here to Florida. And California, which had over 440,000 net outflows. I said, okay, that's interesting. Let's actually look into why those people are moving here to Florida. Well, it has to do with, in my opinion, the taxes. In the state of Florida, we do not have a state income tax. If you don't have a state income tax and you're Elon Musk and you have your headquarters of Tesla in California, you're thinking, wow, I can save a lot. And also my employees can save a lot and move to Florida. And also think about the retirees. If you're on a fixed income, maybe you're working from a pension, or you have some kind of annuity or something like that is being taxed on a state level, you're thinking to yourself, do I really want to be taxed every single year? So no, you want to feel good. You want to have more money in your bank account. So two things. You cut your taxes, which make you feel better when you pay less. And just a simple thing, you're going to feel better if you're warm. What does that all add up to? I found a really, really interesting statistic. And actually that Florida has a GDP of 1.4 trillion. That actually is in line with Mexico. So if Florida was a country, it would have the same GDP as Mexico. It actually ranks number 14. So it would be the 14th largest economy in the world if it was categorized next to countries, number 14. Those are mostly all things that I already knew. I didn't know about that 1.4 trillion. That was really interesting. That being said, I'm very much a data and a statistics kind of person. It helps me to make good decisions. Well, let's now actually look at the numbers. What do the statistics show us about housing inventory? I look at Stella MLS for all of Florida. That's stellar MLS, not Usually I kind of look more in my local area, so I wanted to look at a larger picture. I wanted to look at the country in comparison to Florida. So I actually went to Redfin, so it should give me a larger data set than what Stella would give me. Stellar. Let's look at the median sale price in the United States. It's $412,000 according to Redfin in 2024, all right? That's the national average. Now, skipping over here to Florida, the average is $407,000. Now, this is for all homes. I'm gonna dive in a little bit later here to single family homes and then also condos, because I think that the condo market is what is stressing this whole thing out and creating all of this cannon fodder for people saying that the sky is gonna fall.
It's just not fun anymore, guys. It's gotten out of control.
Now, the median days to market is about 62 days. It's taking about 62 days in Florida to sell a home. Now, if we skip back here to the US housing market, it takes around 48 days. So it's taking on average a little more than 14 days more to actually sell a home in Florida. Now, as we dive into these other numbers, this is gonna push this up or pull this down depending on which type of property that we're talking about. If we're talking about single family homes, it's very different from the condo market. Also, real quick, I wanted to go over the month supply of inventory. So in the United States, we had 3 months of inventory, which under 3 months of inventory is a seller's market, between 3 and 6 is neutral, and over 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market. So looks like we're actually pretty close to a seller's market in the United States right now. Now we skip back over to Florida, the month supply of inventory is 5 months of inventory. So this is where I think people are going, oh my gosh, that's so much higher than the national average. It is, I entirely agree with that. But let's move over and separate these from all home types to single family homes and condos. And I think this is where you're gonna see where all of this fear is coming from. What I found is the United States is $427,000 for a median sale price for a single family home. There's a great little factoid for you at dinner. Now, if we dive over here to Florida, the median sale price is actually $432,000. So we're a little bit higher than that national average. Now, that being said, remember, this is taking Miami into account. It's taking Orlando into account, which has, escalating prices. Okay, so median days to contract for single family homes is 48 days. That's how long it takes on average in the United States to sell a home. If we come over here to Florida, it's 62 days. So it's another 20 something days more, well, 18 days, my math is a bit off, but the national average is lower than Florida for single family homes going to contract. So I think that this may also be something that people are looking at and going, oh, man, it looks like it's taken longer to sell and the inventory is rising. It is, yet remember the trend. Over 600,000 people have moved here to Florida. Remember those reasons why people are moving to Florida, and the big, big benefit is that state income tax that people aren't having to pay. So it is taking a little bit longer. The inventory is rising. The median sale price is a little bit higher here in Florida. But remember, it depends on the area. Florida is a really, really, really big state. Remember, we're number 14 for GDP. We've got a lot of commerce. We've got a lot of people here. So I wanted to separate out because I think that this is this elephant in the room that people don't quite know, and it's affecting things. But let's dive into it. So this is condos. I think specifically, now you've heard about the Surfside collapse maybe. Basically, it was a condominium down in Miami that collapsed, and it had to do with that the engineering on the building wasn't up to date, and some people passed away. It was really terrible. But what ended up happening was there was new regulations that came in from an engineering standpoint that these buildings had to be inspected, and that really brought up these assessments because they had to bring these buildings up to speed. So the median sale price for a condominium in the United States, according to Redfin, is $349,000. Now, if we look at Florida, it's $317,000. $317,000, and there's a lot of condos in Orlando. There's a lot of condos in Miami that are very highly priced that are pulling this median up. If you were to take out Miami and Orlando and you look at areas like we have up here, you can buy a condominium for 240,000, 250,000, much lower, which leads into that affordability. Yeah, the assessments can be a little bit higher, but you're gonna just pay so much less. I think that's all gonna wash itself out. Now, let's go over to the median days on market in the United States for a condominium, and it's 47 days. So basically on average in the United States, it's taking 47 days to close on a condominium. If we skip over here to Florida, it's taking 70 days. So it's definitely taking longer because that inventory is rising in that condo market. So yes, I think that this is the elephant in the room. For me, I think that this is the data that's kind of polluting the whole market. People are looking specifically at condos and seeing that increase in inventory. Now, I don't know how else to say it, but I think we're going through a hangover. I think that there was this giant jubilee. So I think we're just going through a little bit of a readjustment right now. And also this Surfside situation with the condominiums really created more cost. And so as those costs went up, people are getting out of those condominiums. So I think that this is a readjustment period. And as I look at this data, I don't see anything here that is hyper alarming. I want to go over here to my Stella MLS. Yeah, Stella. So what does Stella show us? The reason I bounced over to this is because it gives you the best graph. This was my eureka moment. This is the moment where I went, oh my Lord, look at the ascension. It all comes down to price per square foot. You can see over here, this is 15 years back. It was $91 average price per square foot in 2010. And now we're up to $252 average price per square foot. And this is in single family homes. So we're gonna move over here to condominiums. You can see the same ascension in price per square foot. It's pretty funny, actually. So it was $91 per square foot for a single family home. It was actually $106 price per square foot for condominiums, and it actually is much higher. Now, I think this has a lot to do with those areas like Miami and Orlando that I talked about. So in my mind, I've done my research. I can feel really good about this decision that I bought a home. And in fact, I can feel really good about advising and counseling people to move here to Florida, not just from looking at these graphs and going, oh, well, it's going to continue to go up. Why? That's what I went over earlier. I wanted to talk about why people are moving to Florida, the reasons they have, and the reasons that they will continue to as these new industries come out. And I think that this is actually the opportunity moment. This is the moment that I believe that is, you're gonna look back similar, maybe not to looking back to 2010 here, but kind of think a little bit into the future. The Fed is already talking about lowering interest rates, which is gonna lower the cost of mortgages, which is gonna allow more people to purchase. So all of this just makes me feel much better about the conversations that I'm having with you, with the agents on the team, and myself, and the little conversations that I have with Bruiser at the end of the night about, hey buddy, did we make a good decision here? Now, I mentioned earlier that we get people that are reaching out to us all the time. We'd love to hear from you and work with you on your journey of home ownership in Florida. Please reach out. We'll see you on the next video.